Okay. Okay, quiet. Quiet. We got to make sure we got an equal distribution so we don't get bogged down. So we started with everyone having 7. Beth had to leave. Who did she end up giving all hers to? Just left them there. So we need to divide these out. So some of you only have 6.
Both of us have 4. We gave them to him.
Bro,
I got 4.
I have 16.
So you only have 4 right now.
4 and 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 5,
4 and 6.
7.
Yeah, they are.
I got 4.
Are we supposed to put them what they were out of?
Let's be real, I'm struggling.
Always like 0 out of 2, 1 out of 2.
Just-
You go.
I'm tired.
Okay.
Can we feel that?
Okay, no one talks so they can hear on the video. Okay, pebble time.
Oh, yay.
Hey, look, there are different ways. Every time you encounter a problem that says, where is something, what is the minimum of something, what is the maximum, okay? Anytime that happens, there are multiple ways to solve the problem. I'm going to show you what I would call the most universal, usually the fastest, usually the easiest to write. Is it always the easiest to write? No, like I could show you problems where another method might be more effective, but this method will still work. So this method always works. It's often the very best method, just I can't say it's always the best method. But for a lot of people, they're more comfortable with like one method that always works than like 3 methods and you gotta figure out which one to use.
So it wouldn't be the best method because it was slower, or
It might be in some cases. There might be a method that's a little faster, but this one will always work.
okay.
Okay, so I'm going to show you this method. Now, on other problems, if you want to see the other methods, we can go through that. But does that make sense?
If this one will always work, that's good enough for me.
And honestly, it's not enough slower that I'm going to be worried about it.
Okay.
Because if I can just say, oh, I know this works, that's going to save time anyway.
Yeah.
Versus me trying to figure out now which one am I supposed to use. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. You want to know when the amount of water in the pipe is a minimum. This is the value of having written on your paper what the amount is. It's A of t. So where you should begin is you should begin by writing A prime of t is equal to 0 when, and then you use your calculator to go find the times when A prime is going to equal 0. I believe that step alone is going to earn them a point. Sure enough, right here. So if they have done that correctly, 3.272, they would get 1 point so far, just by writing that statement. That's worth 1 point. So what you do on the grade, as you're grading right now, is look through their work, see if they have any evidence that they figured out. Like I called it A prime because earlier on the test, I had told the grader that A prime is equal to R of t minus D of t. So they could do it in different ways. Like they could say, hey, this is the time when R of t is equal to D of t. There's different ways to do it, but if they have to show where the number came from. Having the number alone is not enough. Ryan, please.
Can you say, because you're finding a minimum, can you say A prime of t changes from negative to positive at time equals?
That would be okay. Hey, everyone listen so we can hear. So saying that A prime changes from negative to positive at this time, that would also garner the 1 point. Yep.
That number's wrong. It's 3.2.
Oh, thank you, Adam.
Okay, good.
Say it slower, Adam.
I was a little
It's
scared.
3.272.
Thank you.
Andy, don't worry. I'm going to get 100 on this.
They are not. You have to be perfect with 3 decimals.
Like 1.
If they have more, as long as it's correct, it's okay, but you can't even be off by 1.
No. Oh, okay.
2 point, say it slower.
3.27165.
3.2716, so they have the same thing, because if you rounded it would be correct.
Wow.
So what if I didn't use A prime, I used A, and found a relative minimum of A?
So how did you say that you found the relative minimum of A?
Well, with A prime, but that was just like frictional. So
Okay.
I wouldn't get the point with that. Because have relative.
I didn't really say exactly where it came from.
So it's just simply saying this.
It is more. That's what I mean by quicker, faster.
Probably fine as long as you explain it.
Well, yeah.
Thank you.
Please.
Can I grade my test?
Yes, please.
Should I grade others?
What's that?
Should I grade others?
Let's get you caught up first, because you'll have to kind of work with Kaylee to regrade the ones you've already done, but then we'll kind of,
We're right here, right?
yeah, so you're just drilling 2 problems behind us.
Do you want me to help her right now?
How many points do you have?
We're getting there, I just gotta, that's the first point, so.
Well, I still get the point even if they don't include the whole min-max theorem with the,
You don't have to have the whole min-max thing.
okay.
I did that so that you would all gain some understanding as to why we're doing it. But literally, this is all you have to get the point. That's why I said to Eli, it's a good fast method. You only need that green box. That will get you 1 point.
So you need everything in that green box.
Or
Uh,
saying that it changes sign possibly.
That's another way to do it. We said that, you know, if A prime changes sign, that's equivalent. There are other ways, I suppose, but we have to kind of hear Layla.
I was just gonna ask if it could be 3.271, and it can be in the blue, can it be in the green?
Oh, thank you. You are, once in a while, they will allow a slight discrepancy and they'll point it out. I didn't notice that one, thank you. So this one is okay. The 3.271 was allowed in this problem. It's not always, but that's the problem.
Sorry.
So,
And the.
back to explanation, look. Once you know, let's do this together. I want to give away some pebbles.
So the amount is just A.
Okay,
So.
so we start with that. Now what you do to get points, this is what I was wanting to talk to you about, Jen, is this whole idea about how to find a minimum or a maximum. It's the same idea, we just have to apply it slightly differently to that 2013 problem, so. Okay, next thing, do this. Did no one talk? We've got to go find values of A now. So we have to use the fundamental theorem. So we have to integrate A prime. So hands up, whole room, what goes on the right-hand side of the fundamental theorem in this case? Everybody who wants bubbles. What goes on the right-hand side in this instance? Let's go, Piper. And I'm leaving off the numbers on purpose for a minute.
Okay, so the right-hand side, would that be? Oh, no, I forgot it.
Oh, let me help you. There's a good way to remember. If the rhyme doesn't help, please tell me, because I don't want to be saying a rhyme that's not helpful. But I always say we integrate the rate, and that has to equal the difference in the amount.
Right, okay, that's minus and then 80%.
How
So-
does that?
Yeah, that's not
how does that
right.
The second half does not rhyme at all.
But integrate the rate.
Integrate the rate rhymes.
Yes.
The second part.
Hey, that is correct.
It's high.
Hey, how many knew it was this before I wrote it? Okay, 2 pebbles.
I thought it would be RFT minus. I thought this was
No.
No.
That's back to this idea that
So the minimum is either at the beginning.
we started the problem right here by defining that we have an amount. We're calling that A. The rate at which the amount changes is going to be the in rate subtract the out rate.
Yeah.
So that's a prime, but that's not on the other side of the. If you look at the fundamental theorem right here,
Yes, that's what.
And AFT, what's AFT?
AFT is what I'm using to represent the amount of water in the pipe.
Which is the same as RFT minus DFT?
No, because RFT is a rate and A is an amount. They're not the same thing at all. So what I did earlier in the problem, we wrote down this. Remember, we said AFT is going to be the amount of water in the pipe, and therefore how fast that amount is changing, that's going to be RFT minus DFT. So as you're grading, hey, this is a good question. Look, when they get mixed up between amount and rate, they're losing points quickly. That's the whole point of the problem, is to keep track of what's what.
How do you know whether it wants you to find the minimum? Because on this one, it just says what time it's the.
Oh, so they don't actually care about the actual minimum value? They just want the time when the minimum occurs. That's correct. We're getting there, but that's correct.
If they don't use hours in their explanation, like they don't.
No units were given on this one, so we're okay. We'll get to that part in a second, but. Is everybody okay here? Okay. Look at me, look. I'm trying to teach you kind of the fast method here. I need to go find the amount at different times. So I want to create a formula. So I'm going to put a T right here. But as soon as I do that, I realize I need to change something. Who can see what I need to change? Hands, come on.
Oh, give me that.
What do I need to change? Once I put a T there, I'm like, oh, I got to fix something. What do I need to fix? Adam?
The dummy variable over there.
I got to change the dummy variable. So I come over here, and Z looks good, so we'll use Z. So raise your hand if you knew that before Adam said it. 2, 3 for Adam. Anyone have questions? Ryan, please.
So I knew you had to do that, but I don't understand why again, because, I mean, you're using both variables.
The reason why let's ask another question first and we'll go back to that one. Hands up, who knows what goes here? Who knows what I'm going to write here? Hands. What's going to be written there, Kate?
You have 0.
And why?
Because we know A of 0.
Perfect. We know the value of A of 0. Who knew? 2 more, 3 for Kate. Back to Ryan's question. So I'm going to put a 0 here, Ryan. I'm going to put a T here. This T is representing a time that I'm going to pick. This isn't representing a time that I pick. So they cannot be the same symbol. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. 2 more for Ryan. Awesome. Once you have the formula written down, now just make a quick table. Hands up, who knows what values of T we need to put into the table? What values of T must be in the table for us to get full credit on this one? Let's go, Layla.
Would be 0, A, and then A prime of T equals 0.
Nicely done. So I do the 0, the 3.172. I keep wanting to 172. Good grief. 272. And then 8. Hands up, who knew? 2 more, 3 for Layla. Questions about anything? Solid. Yeah, please, correct me.
So the purpose is to find which one of these values is when the water in the pipe is at a minimum. So then we're gonna test each of these values. Is that why that's?
Yeah, and hey. Oh, sorry, Eli, please.
But like, it's an absolute minimum.
It is an absolute minimum.
So one of them is going to be the lowest.
The lowest.
I feel like
Yep.
it's only a relative minimum because one of the states specifically relative minimum, but it's maximum. It can be absolute when it's just.
Yeah, I want to restate what Piper just said. Hey, listen close. Listen. In fact, let's get Pebbles for this one. Okay, look. Raise your hand, please, if you know what is the indicator that they want absolute instead of relative. Like, how do you know? Like, how do you know? Because you must approach it differently. If you mix it up, you lose points. So how do you know the difference, Tara?
Doesn't it always say relative if it wants a relative?
That's it. Or it could say local.
Yeah.
Either way. If it doesn't say either of those words, it's not. It's absolute. Like, that's the end of story. How many knew? 2, 3 for Tara. Okay. Other questions so far? Okay, at this moment, oh, sorry, Layla, please.
And you say to find, actually, wait, we're not there yet.
You're good. So then all you have to do is use your formula. You've already given the grader the formula. Now just use the formula. Punch it in your calculator, write down the numbers. This one's 30. Help me, Anna, what's the next one?
27.965.
Keep going, Anna.
And then 48.544.
Okay, questions? Now the other benefit of this method, I'll reference Eli because you asked like why we're doing it this way. What else did we find? Like, we have now answered the question. We answered another question as well. Like, it came free. We had to do nothing extra. We answered a second question.
What the absolute minimum is?
We know that. Then there's a third thing we've answered.
The absolute max, right?
Yeah, we know the absolute max as well, and when that occurs. So we've got all that data that quick. Done.
How about that?
That's why I like this method. It finds all of it quickly, easily. No fuss, no muss, as they say.
Because if you know that you have accounted for all the points because you would have tested the other zeros of A prime if there were more than one.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not just.
So what Piper just said for the benefit of the video is I didn't pay attention when I wrote this as to whether A prime was changing positive or negative. I didn't care. I just find all the times, test them all,
But you
calculate.
could care if you were trying to go fast.
Yeah, but it doesn't make enough difference to me. Like, I think I waste more time thinking about it.
So just check.
Just
them
do
all.
it.
Yes.
Check them all.
So is that why you suggest to find when A prime of t is 0?
Yep.
Always? You
Yep.
find-
It's just faster. The other thing is this. Hey, listen. If you just find when, in a more complicated problem, if you just find when A prime changes like positive to negative, or in this case, negative to positive, if you don't explain what you're doing, you could lose points for that. This method, they won't take away any points.
So if you were to use the when it changes negative to positive or positive to negative, do you still have to list out all the zeros even if it doesn't change?
You don't, but you have to state why you didn't list the others.
Okay.
Yep. Please.
So on mine, kind of like that, at the very top, I wrote A of t has a minimum when A prime of t changes negative to positive, or at the endpoints.
Yeah, that's
I said
okay.
A prime of t changes.
Yeah, that's okay. That is another way of doing it. It's perfectly valid. I like this way because I can write less. I'm not a big fan of writing. So, other questions here? Okay, so here's how the points were awarded. So, hey, in this example, I wrote out the actual integrals. You don't have to do it that way. The method I just showed you was like a table, it's perfectly valid. Here I just wrote the integrals instead. That was 1 point. The third point was for having the correct answer.
They just have the correct answer.
They have nothing else but the right answer.
Well, they just have A prime is at a minimum at t equals 3 points.
And that's all they have?
Yeah.
So they get 1 out of 3.
Would that be
It's 1 out of 3.
These were the.
We get 1 out of 3.
Are you good taking on a couple more?
You got the answer.
Then I will go out and do you. Yeah, that's crazy. Some of these.
has no work.
Need a pen?
Maybe one out of three. Yeah, you can.
Let me announce to the class. Hey, everybody listen close. Listen. So this is good for the video as well. Look, if all they have is something like A prime changes from negative to positive at this time, therefore that's when A has a minimum, they are mixing up absolute minimum and relative minimum. And they're answering the relative question when they were supposed to answer the absolute question. So they get 1 out of 3. You got it? That's really common.
So mine has that, but they found all these values. They
Oh,
didn't
otherwise.
specify that.
That's actually close. That's 2 out of 3.
Did you already grade these ones? Kind of. I don't think I graded that top one. The bottom one kind